and welcome everyone to this exciting panel where we will try to explore how innovation and technology reshaping health, wellness, and performance in professional sport. This panel is Performance, Health, and Innovation in Professional Sport. First of all, welcome to our three panelists. And let me do a quick introduction, but before, thank you for joining us today. I think it's a very amazing first edition of Sports Summit with a lot of people, three rooms together with different panelists. I hope you can enjoy during this day. I don't know if you know, I'm the managing director of the GSIC, like he said, but we are a non-profit organization where we create synergy between different sport entities and startups and companies, and we work in different scenarios. One of these is health and performance, and we have today outstanding three speakers to try to explore how innovation driving change in performance, fan engagement, and sport medicine. Quick intro about Rick Koss is a former high-performance director of the US Soccer, now leading performance at the Olympique Lyonnaise, a true innovator and integrating data and tech into athlete development. Welcome, Rick. Nice to see you again, now in Spain.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Okay. Quentin Pauqueler. So sorry for my French pronunciation is not the best. Even my English is not the best too, but I promise my Argentinian pronunciation is 100%. The Spanish, I don't know, but the Argentinian is great. Quentin is the CMO of the Club América from Mexico. Is a powerhouse in Latin American football and recent tricampeón of La Liga Mexico. Congratulations. Quentin brings a unique view of how brand strategy, internal culture, and innovation align for elite performance. Thank you very much for being here, Quentin. Welcome. And Dr. Ghassan Elgeadi, president of the Clínica Elgeadi from the Grupo Quirón, leaders in sport, traumatology, and elite athlete care in Spain. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You can visit their booth. It's very nearby. You can get more information about the Clínica Elgeadi the rest of the day and tomorrow. And let's start with the evolution of the performance and health in sport. And I will start with Rick. I met Rick before, no? In US, the last time in one of the Grandmaker meetups to try to share some problem statement and try to solve this problem statement with solutions that startups are working with. No? What performance challenges are you currently tackling, and how do you evaluate which technology to adopt? No? With your two perspectives from US soccer and now in France, how you can see the difference or the challenges that you can see?
It's a very interesting question. When I was in America, it was super obvious that technology is part of sports. And whether it's within the team or whether it's with spectators, it's always about showing more, being more in line with like new innovations. And then you come to Europe, and all of a sudden it's very like, hey, what we have is already good enough. So the first challenge is to have an understanding of why are we actually using technology and explaining the why behind it, especially because there's so much on the market. Every day there's a new startup on the phone and it's like, hey, this is what we want to do, and I need to explain to the startup, I'm so sorry, but we are not mature enough to actually start with you because we first have to have an internal understanding of what is out there. So my biggest challenge right now is to create what I call a maturation offset, is trying to figure out what the maturity of technology and innovation and data uses in the club, and from there on create an environment that it accepted to actually start with new innovations and start with creating an environment where players can thrive and perform better, and we can measure it and be more objective.
Excellent. I don't know if, Quentin, do you want to some about what's happening in Latin America, no? Or in this sense.
Yeah, thanks. Big responsibility. No, I'm with Rick on that. I think it's what he's mentioning is more about the culture and culture of innovation, I think, and that's what we're trying to build at the club. We met, you and I, around 8 years ago, I think. Still very young, but
I don't know, it was before the pandemic or during the pandemic, because
yeah, no, just
after we met in Mexico, all the plane that all the speakers from Spain came back here, start the day after this was the lockdown.
not on us, but still. So when we met a few years ago, I think we were in a position at the club where maybe this culture of innovation was still needed to be incorporated in different areas, both on the sports performance and my area on the marketing side. And you know, today we have a full new sports intelligence department that has been built along the years, including by Carlos Aviña, who is today the sports director of AS Monaco, one of our rivals, sorry. So I think that's something we built, but it was the same in Latam. I think we needed to put first that culture of understanding why we wanted to innovate, what we wanted to do, and how we were able to achieve it. And then, as Rick was mentioning, then you have a lot of providers, a lot of resources that you can use. You just, I think, need to be clear first on the goals and what it is you want to achieve, you know. And on our side, it's the case for sports performance, but it's the case for business performance as well and business operations, where the biggest team in Mexico and in the region, one of the powerhouse of Latin America. You said it, not me, I'm just repeating. That means we also have pressure to give results both on and off the field, and that goes through sports performance, but also to business performance. And I think what we try to achieve at the club is have this culture of innovation and also this collaboration between areas, and then I can speak about that. But how the sports performance and the business performance work together, I think it's key of our recent success, obviously with the 3 trophies in a row on the men's team, but also the women's team reaching 5 of the last 6 finals and reaching the Final Four of CONCACAF. So I think it's something that is due to the way we work at the club.
Thank you. And Dr. Elgeadi, from your experience in elite athlete care, what have been the biggest innovation in the past 10 years in sport medicine and traumatology?
Well, it's very interesting question. Very hard to answer in like 5 or 6 hours, but I'll try my best.
But you are the most smartest from here, for sure. You can do it.
Yeah, no. I mean, there's 10 years. It's a very large period of time, and especially in these last 10 years, we've been developing a lot of, applications, AI, the last 3-4 years, technology, understanding of our patients, our athletes, our persons that comes to the clinic seeking for information and seeking for a way or an advice to perform better or to increase their capabilities. I can try to resume them maybe in 3 groups. The latest technology related to wearables, for example, it's important because it goes from simple watches that calculate footsteps and allows the doctor knowing how much our patients or our person moves a day, till wearables that get us more complex data about, for example, the heart rate, the blood pressure, the blood sugar. So, and how many calories, how his body performs during the day and during the sports, so we can understand better and be preventive in terms of lesions, in terms of helping him perform better or push him harder to limits he didn't know before. So all that, maybe we can put it in the side of wearables. The second most advanced thing, it's related to the orthobiologic and stem cells treatments that helps us, increase also the recovery time, improve the recovery time of our patients, our athletes, prevent some of the lesions we might be seeing in this young patient or young athlete that he might be having. So now we can, before the lesion happens, we can even, perform or treat him before and prepare him for the sport he's doing. And one of the last things, or the last group, maybe we can resume in 5 seconds, it's about technology applied to the treatments, ultra minimally invasive procedures, like the spine, for example, where we can achieve it from endoscope that makes us, target the spine, for example, with 2-3 millimeters incisions, till the latest technology applies to the ACL, meniscus reconstruction, cartilage recovery, or cartilage repair, something like that, So yes, in 10 years there have been a lot of developments, a lot of technology applied to the health,
I think you mentioned something very, very key is about the data, no? And in this sense, talking about the data, Quentin, we can use this data for the players in different ways, no? Maybe to engage with the fan, but also to measure the professional athletes in this sense. Can you share some example of how you are using the fan data, for example, immersive technology or content platform to engage with the team? And is any connection? I remember we have in our ecosystem some members that try to use one of these wearables that you mentioned before to try to track the player during the match, but also connect with the fans to maybe hear the beat of the heart of the player, no? Imagine in a final, the penalty of Messi, feel her heart. No, this is something is possible. It's something that we can see in the coming years, Quentin, how you use all this data, no?
Yeah, and I'm not gonna imagine a Messi penalty in the final because I'm French and that's painful for me. But I think we definitely do that. And when I was talking about the culture inside of the club and collaboration and working together with the sports performance department, definitely we do use data in common. Obviously not for the same reasons, as you can imagine, Rick. But what we do is we have different providers for data, for example, or if we talk about the wearables, like the GPS, vest, and everything. Of course, the sports performance department will use the data for very specific reasons, injuries treatment or injuries prevention, sports performance analysis, etc. And we will use maybe other data points to communicate to our fans and prove how big of a team and how competitive we are when we need to, which is also a tricky zone, and we have to be very aligned with the sports department in general, just to make sure. So I'll give you a very concrete example. So one time we decided maybe to start publishing how much our players, men or women, will run, how many kilometers they will run during a game. But that, it's very good when you win. But when you don't, the first comment are going to be, why are you running so little? You need to run more, you need to run faster, you're very lazy. Just, we didn't do it. So we stopped it because of the eventual risk. But then there is other data that we do use in our content for example, to prepare for the next game or announce the next game or promote the next game for people to come. And then we use services in common with the sports department, sports performance department, like for broadcasting, for example, because they do record all the games for obvious reasons, for analysis. We use it to actually broadcast the games to our fans or have highlights for our fans. When there is a new signing, the scouting department, to be honest, they already did a highlight video that I can use to publish to present the new signing to my fans. So there is a lot of collaboration in that sense. And then in terms of data, we don't necessarily use the same tools, but we do need to have data information and data intelligence, and the capabilities of analysis we have on sports performance and on sports business can be the same, and sometimes we even exchange people from one department for another to solve a problem. So we have now, when we met 8 years ago, we started with a little CRM or marketing cloud, and today we have a big data lake at the company level. We are starting with our single sign-on for our fans and a CDP, obviously. So, but to solve those problems, sometimes we pick the brains from one department to another and to understand how technologically, because technology is just a tool, it's not an end in itself, how we can use it. And again, I just want to say that from what Dr. Ghassan was talking about, I mean, on the ACL and everything, we have 4 ACL injuries right now with the women's team, so we're very interested. But I think understanding what is coming, what are the possibilities in the future on the sports performance can help us on the sports business side, and the other way around is true too. So the best example is AI, obviously, but predictive AI in particular, so preventing injuries on the health part, but on business, like taking smarter, more efficient, quicker decisions. It's not going to replace the human decision, but at least it will give you the right info. And I think on the sports side, and please correct me if I'm wrong, it's kind of the same.
It's
your
very
turn
interesting.
Okay.
Can I jump in?
For
It's
sure.
very interesting because we are using same data providers on the business side and the sporting side. But the acceptance, the data mistakes that are made on the business side are so much bigger than what we can accept. So if you get someone, I've read things on our players, for instance, in the newspaper. This player ran, during the World Cup, we had a player running 35.7 kilometers an hour. That's exceptional. So when we tracked our own data back, it was only 32 kilometers an hour. So there was a difference of like 3 kilometers an hour. And everyone, you know, it ran from one newspaper to the other, and all of a sudden it was like the fastest runner during the World Cup, and it became a whole thing. And then at the end, he even got like a prize for having most impact on the game because of his speed. And we knew that he was actually very average in the running. So we cannot really use that data unless we have smart people actually figuring out what the bias is and what the mistake is that we make. If we go towards like the AI implementation or machine learning, that makes it extremely difficult to start a machine learning process actually on the sporting side. Because once we start predicting things based on data that is not clean, it becomes very, very difficult to actually come near the truth. So what we created was like an impact burden scale. It's like the more mistakes we make, the more difficult, the more hard the burden will be to clean the data to have big impact. So we created an environment or a situation where we try to use our own data and scale it and work together with like data providers to figure out if we can, you know, get the margin of error smaller. But to give you an idea, one game costs us about 48 hours to clean it and use the data. So we have a lot of challenges on our side, and I wish in the future that machine learning will take away that data bias for us, and we can actually start using the data on the fly or maybe even in a live situation. But it's a very complicated to speculate with, I don't want to say wrong data, but data bias when we're talking to players and how, you know, Mother Nature influences our players' health at the time.
I think this is the concept that the big data, if you don't have the real tools to manage this, is bad data, no? And in this sense, we are talking about data, AI, wearables, in professional athletes. But Dr. Elgeadi, what happened in the amateurs world, no? What happened with the rest of the people or the rest of the thousand or million that are practice any sport? How all these tools can help them too?
Well, actually, we in our clinics, for example, and I believe in all the medical practice, for us, we don't make that much difference when it comes to a patient. You know, we we try to use all we have, all the data, the information, everything we can help our patients with. Of course, we make distinctions, but the distinction is made by the patient himself. Why? Because if he's a very high performance and his, you know, requirements are very high, then we need to apply different algorithms for him than for a normal patient that is, or a normal athlete that he's starting. His condition, his body, I mean, requests from our side different point of view and different algorithm to be applied on him. So, but yes, I believe information these days, it's so important, and we're seeing, when I look at what's developing right now in terms of data gathering, AI, you know, and information, it's so overwhelming that when I read the data sometimes, of things we're doing as a surgeons on, for example, a knee, or the good position of the ACL, as Quentin said, or how we're repairing the supraspinatus. There are some startups now that they are gathering so much information from all over the world, from all the surgeons, and of course it's growing up, this database, but gives us sometimes information that when you read it, you're really scared. But because you look at it and the way you've been doing some things, the way you've been, or the angles you're placing the tendons while repairing, completely wrong, you know? So it's great, it's amazing that we can have this kind of AI applied to data gathering, to analysis, where we can improve our techniques. Definitely it's a game changing, and for us the next years, it's gonna be completely different way, the way we are achieving the patients, the surgeries, the planification, everything.
Excellent. And in this sense, Rick, we are talking about amateur professional, how we will change. And I think after the pandemic, the wellness, the mental health is something that is part of our life, in our shop, in our team. How you manage, or the important is to take care of not only the body, all the health of the players and the team.
Yeah, I think, like, pretty much going towards your first point in your first alinea was the newest innovation. I think the newest innovation is performing at the highest level in the best health possible. Going back 20 years, we didn't have GPS, we didn't have any trackers, we only had like heart rate monitors. But I think we were very, very good in understanding Mother Nature. And understanding, hey, we have surgery on day one, and we just MRI'd that individual all the way up to like 9 months, 12 months, and figured out like, it makes sense after 9 months to get this person back, and we started building in a program, not understanding what actually the shear powers were or whatever the rotations were in the knee, but it just was very logical. So if you go now, mainly during the pandemic, so many smart sports scientists, medical scientists came in, and they started to, I think, move away from actually Mother Nature. We started to move towards like objectifying measures. But an objectifying measure gives you a protocol, but the protocol isn't the person. So probably like now what we're trying to do is go back to what actually the body tells you, and not saying this strategy will help you recover better, but this strategy will help you making smaller mistakes so that Mother Nature can, the end result of the rehab or recovery will be better. So that's what we really, really now working on, is re-educating sports scientists, sports medical scientists also, to have a better understanding of like what the mechanisms are, what blood flow actually mean, what all the blood pools, all the measures that we get out of our, like the biomarkers that we have, what actually is the value towards what this individual needs to do and what stage and what frame it fits in developing. And I think, and I don't know, but I think probably biomedical or DNA measures at some point will give us an individual return of knowledge on how well a knee or an ACL actually is situated in a knee after 3 months, after 6 months. And then we have like optical tracking, and it hopefully gets better and better to have an actual understanding of how much force that can this ACL actually handle. Is it like 5 kgs? Or is it only 1? Or can it actually, hold your whole body weight? I don't know. But more and more we get into having more knowledge, and now we have to create the bridge towards making sure that we can perform, and every athlete has a life after his sporting career, and by the time that they're 80, that they don't have like 2 new knees and 2 new hips.
Yeah.
But it's a very complicated question, probably.
I don't know, Dr. Elgeadi, if you want to maybe to complete their answer, but also both of you are working with research group, with the university, how you engage with this part of the industry that is very relevant in this sense, no?
Well, it's not relevant only, it's essential now in our daily work, because each time we're seeing, our patients, our even normal, not patient, let's say the people come to our clinic seeking for information, for example, to perform any sport or any recovery or anything, they need more. They don't need the old information, the old way, the old fashioned. They need something new, something accurate, something objective, something. So we are now living a time where, like Rick said, even the DNA is coming into this, is jumping into this, mattress of information and mattress of, AI development. So we are trying to understand even to understand in the future what's going to happen with this patient or what's going to happen with this athlete. It scares me a lot because at the end we will be able with some tests, I'm sure, in near future we will be with some tests, DNA tests, maybe some biometric full study, we will be able to say, yes, you will be an athlete, you will be Leo Messi, you will be Cristiano Ronaldo, or, oh, no, I'm sorry, in a month you will be, finish in the sports, So this is scary, but all this we're building with information, with that good database, clean database, and of course now with the AI, it's amazing the kind of information we can achieve. And now it's something our patients ask for it daily. Not only because you hear us about talk about robotics, about technology applied to to curing, to surgeries, etc. But the patient now is asking also about, well, I feel like a little bit weak. How can you help me? I'm suitable for running. Am I suitable for doing I don't know, cycling? Is my body prepared? So that's where enters the data of biometrics and study of the body, of the joints, how you perform, how you don't, and give him a good, advice in that.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, I think what's very interesting from both Dr. Ghassan and Rika are saying is basically it's individualization of the treatment, of the data, and you gather a lot of data, but just to modeling and then take smart decisions for individuals. And what's funny is on the business side,
The same with
that's
the
what,
fund.
that's why we have been trying to do. I don't know if successfully or not. I think there is a lot of room still to improve, different challenges for sure, but I think it's to communicate on an individual way to the fans, give them what they're looking for, and definitely the same that you will have patients that want to run or go cycling or whatever, and a player that will recover from one way or another, and definitely between women and men, football and, sorry, soccer for you, but sports, we could talk for a lot, but I think on the fan it's the same. You'll have a fan that will want to go to the stadium every weekend, another, or every 2 weekends, the other one won't. One will be living in a city, maybe the other in another, even in another country, which is our case with more than 15 million fans in the US, being a Mexican team. So I think it's funny to see how data, technology, innovation actually is just trying to fix something very basic, which is have a personal sort of connection with the athlete, with the patient, or with the fan. And that's kind of what we have, the three of us here, humbly with our teams, of course, to resolve. And I think it's interesting.
Thank you. I have the last question before the last 5 minutes to close the topic of the data, no, Rick? And what happened with the protect? Because we try to reduce the injury for the player, we try to collect a lot of data, but what happened with the privacy, no? How from your club build this trust, no? If nothing happened, if you share this data, because maybe the next class, they will know all this information. You work in this?
I think this is probably, it's a very internal problem that I think we have in sports in general, and mainly in team sports. I think the first thing to understand is we hire a chief strategy officer, we hire a technology officer, we hire sports scientists, we hire data strategists, data engineers. I don't need the whole list at US Soccer was, I think we had 18 people just working on data. And then we go to camp, or it was a World Cup in this case when it started. And then we asked the players, listen up, we're going to track this, and this data because we want to do research. And then it became silent. And we needed to get all the players to sign a singular NDA, just a document that say, you can use my data for research. And it took 13 months. And we only had, out of the 28 players that needed to sign, we had 14 players signing the document. So first thing, no, I don't know if anyone understands it, but a player is not educated on data.
Sure.
They only think like, hey, you know, you're taking my picture or you get my heart rate, and the only thing you're going to do is go to the coach and you're going to tell the coach that I'm not ready to play 90 minutes.
Or to the press.
Or to the press,
Yeah.
which is even worse. Or you're going to use my data, and unfortunately it happens, and you're going to do research and you do a publication for your own good. So educating players who, with all the respect, like get out of school when they're 16 years old in the youth academies because they get professional contracts, educating them on how fast the world changes, how data can have a positive influence on their career in their future, and they just have to sign a consent, is a very complicated thing. So what happened is there are player organizations who collectively now working on with clubs, with federations together to get like informed consents so that we can use anonymized data and share data. The goal that I have, and I had with US Soccer, now with Olympique Lyonnaise, is to become the most transparent club from a data perspective to the world. And why? Because the data doesn't make us win games. But it's a very, very big issue. And I hope startups, big data companies want to have an understanding and just create this tiny piece in their...
Here, startup
Exactly.
know about
a very tiny piece of text that gives an understanding that, hey player, we understand that it's very difficult for you to use your data, but we want to use it anonymized as long as you sign this contract. If that happens and all the players sign this little document, it saves us a year time to educate the players that we're not going to use their data in a negative way so that they can't play. But we use it in their advantage to keep them on the field and make them perform better.
Excellent. Here is Guillermo taking note about one problem statement more is about the privacy and the data. We have only 1 minute and 30 seconds to end this panel, and I would like to 30 seconds each. What trends or technology will most transform your area of expertise in the not 10 years, only in the next 2 years? You know?
Well, in our case, what we will be really pushing us is going to be maybe robotics applied to AI, for example, is going to make a huge difference in our field. Me, myself, I'm in a scientific committee where we're studying the way of making a robot could finalize, or help us finalize the surgery in case the surgeon can't. So imagine what we're talking about. You know, I think this is, I believe, the best thing would happen. Not in the sake of the doctors that might be replacing us.
Thank you.
No, I think in our case, on the business side, will be predictive AI, like how we can modelize and use all this data just to take smarter decisions. Again, avoiding those mistakes. And it's a tool, so we have to provide good data to make sure we have good answers. But I think that will help us go way ahead and avoid some very painful and time-consuming steps.
And very quickly, I think the first thing I wish that will happen is an automated data cleaning tool that somehow will make it easy for us to use the data. I think that's one. And the second thing is, I think you'll see the first clubs coming up with their own cloud-based data solution that actually works and that actually combines medical data, sports science data, business data, data from spectators, data from spectators at home. I think in the first 2 years we'll see the first ones coming out with which are actually usable.
Anything you want to announce from Olympique Lyonnais on that?
We have it. No, we do not yet.
Okay, thank you for all the insight, for sharing your perspective, and the takeaway today, of course, is the data, the innovation, have only one end-to-end platform to get all the data for all the different areas in your organization, connect business with performance, and of course with wellness and the mental health of the players and the amateur. Thank you again. I hope you can enjoy the rest of these 2 days in this amazing event. And again, you can visit the team of the Dr. Ghassan nearby, the GSIC one, and Quentin and Rick will be around. Thank you.
Thank you.